Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here this evening to celebrate Shabbat with us. I hope that everybody had a good and healthy and safe week. Let us begin our service this evening. We're using the Siddur Lev Shalem. And so I invite everyone to turn to page 5, and let's begin by welcoming Shabbat together with Shalom Aleichem at the bottom of the page. Please sing along with me. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem leshalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let us go sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God, raising our voice in song. Page 11, please sing with me the beginning of Lechu Neranena, Psalm 95. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzuri shenu, nekadma fanav betoda. Naria, naria, letzuri shenu, bizmiro narialo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. The heavens shall be glad and the earth rejoice, the sea in its fullness roar. The meadows and all that grows in them exult, even the trees of the forest shall sing praise, as Adonai comes to judge the earth, judging lands with righteousness and peoples with divine truth. Yismechu Hashamayim, middle of page 14. Please join me. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umlo. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, umlo. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. And now, let us turn to page 20 at the bottom, where the little arrow is pointing inward, and let's sing together Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu vehishtachavu lehar kodsho. And now let's turn to page 21. We will continue with Mizmor LeDavid, Psalm 29. I invite everyone to please rise as we sing this together, page 21. Mizmor LeDavid, Havul Adonai Bnei Elim, Havul Adonai Kavod Va'oz, Havul Adonai Kevod Shemo, Hishtachavu Adonai Behadrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai al Hamayim, El HaKavod Hirim, Adonai al Mayim Rabim, Kol Adonai Ba'koach, Kol Adonai Behadar, Kol Adonai Shover Harazim, Vayeshaber Adonai et Arzei Halvanon, Vayarkidehem kemo egel, Levanon v'Siryon, kemo v'nere'emim. Kol Adonai chosev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel ayalot, Vayechesof yeharot, Uveichalo kulo omer kavod, Adonai lamabul yashav, Vayeshev Adonai melech ve'olam, Adonai os le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Many of you might remember from a few weeks ago when we had our special Shabbat Shirah service, I sang that melody accompanied on the piano, and that melody comes from Italy. It's unclear whether it's Ashkenazic or Sephardic, though most people say it is Sephardic. And it is believed to have been written at the end of the 1700s, but not published, physically written down, until the beginning of the 1800s. So that's why there's some ambiguity as to where it exactly comes from. With that, let's continue now with Lecha Dodi, the quintessential prayer that actually welcomes Shabbat and begins Shabbat for us. We will sing the first two stanzas on page 23, the middle stanza on 24, and then the final stanza where we will all rise and face the entrance of our home to actually welcome Shabbat. Pages 23 through 25, Lecha Dodi. Lecha dodi likrat kala, halalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, lecha dodi likrat kala, halalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, shamor vezachor, vedibur echad. Hishmihanu el hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemul tiferet ve'lithilah. Lecha dodi likrat kala, halalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, lecha dodi likrat kala, halalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, likrat Shabbat, lechu v'neilcha, ki mekor ha-beracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machashava techila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, lalalai, lalalai, penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, lecha dodi likrat kala, lalalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, page 24. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech kumyori. Uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai, alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, lalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, lecha dodi likrat kala, lalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela. Page 25 at the bottom, please rise and face the entrance of your home. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola. Toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala, halalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela, ai, lai, lai, lecha dodi likrat kala, halalai, 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 penei Shabbat. Nekabela. You may be seated. Now that we have officially welcomed Shabbat, let us recite and sing together the Psalm for Shabbat, top of page 27. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir le'yom ha'shabbat. 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 Tov lehodot, lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir le'yom ha'shabbat. Mizmor, mizmor, shir, shir le'yom ha'shabbat. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in our God's courtyards. Page 28 in the middle of the page. Tzadika tamar yiferach ke'erez balvanon yizkeh shetulim beveit Adonai בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון בשיבה דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד כי ישר אדוני צורי צורי ולא עוולת בו. Normally at this point I would share something from the Parsha and just share a few words, but I plan on doing that actually in a few moments before we do one of our prayers in Mariv, as it's connected somewhat to that prayer. So I will wait to do that. However, I am noticing we are still a couple of people short to have a minyan this evening here on Zoom. So if those who are on Zoom can let me know in the chat how many people you have with you that we could count, that would be great. If you are watching on Facebook and are able to come onto Zoom instead and help us, that would also be great as well. In the meantime, please turn to page 39a on the English side, and please join me for the reading in the middle of the page. Baruch Atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Living and ever-present God, may you rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch Atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. We will now turn to page 40 and continue with Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amecha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokveinu u'v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך לא תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Page 41. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. Please continue privately with the second and third paragraphs of the Shema, page 42. You shall look at it and remember all the mitzvot of Adonai and fulfill them, and not be seduced by your eyes and heart as they lead you astray. Then you will remember and fulfill all my mitzvot and be holy before your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God, truly. Adonai Elohechem Emet, page 43a. Emet ve'emuna kol zot ve'kayam aleinu, ki hu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ein zulato, v'anachnu Yisrael Amo. God brought Israel from its mist to lasting freedom and led them through the divided water of the Sea of Reeds. As their pursuers and enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name, willingly accepting God's sovereignty. Then Moses and the people of Israel joyfully sang unto you, Who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty? Who is like you, adorned in holiness, revered in praise, working wonders? Top of page 44. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם, משה ובני ישראל לכהנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Before we continue with Hashkivenu, I want to share with you a couple of thoughts and a couple of words in regards to this week's Torah reading and how it can relate to the prayer of Hashkivenu. This week's Parsha being Mishpatim, which literally translates as judges, lays out a bunch of civil laws for the Jews to follow. And a lot of it has to do with behavior, a lot of it has to do with damages. Tomorrow morning specifically, I'm going to speak about what role self-defense has in Judaism and relating that back to our Parsha. But this evening, there is an idea that is expressed in the Parsha that says that if there's a group of people who are out to do evil or out to do questionable activities, one should not join them, no matter their intentions. That can be translated in today's time as meaning don't give in to the mob mentality. A lot of us might remember from a few years ago when the pandemic started, shortly after the pandemic started, and it went on for maybe 6 months or a little bit less, after the horrific incident of the George Floyd murder occurred, there were members of different communities all over the country that fell into the mob mentality. They wanted their voice to be heard. They might have started with good intentions, but then it evolved into riots and into mobs where violence occurred and destruction and vandalism occurred. And that kind of thing is what the Torah tells us we cannot really engage in those kinds of activities. We are once again on a rise, unfortunately, of anti Semitism happening all over the world, and especially here in the United States, as well as these horrible things happening. Between the shooting that took place earlier this week at Michigan State University, as well as some of you may have read in the local news that several public schools here in Albuquerque fell victim to a phone call hoax of somebody calling these schools to say that a shooting was going to happen. Luckily, the FBI investigated it, found out it was a hoax, and was able to deal with it. But with all of these things happening, I want to draw our attention to the prayer of Hashkivenu, because I think Hashkivenu can really provide us with some positivity, can provide us with some solace during these crazy, crazy times. Hashkivenu is a prayer that's only recited at night. Why is it recited at night? Because we are asking God to protect us. We are asking God to protect us while we sleep, while we are awake, as we wake up in the morning. We're asking God to protect our coming and going as we leave our house and go in and out of our house. And so I think with all of these things in mind, Hashkivenu is especially prevalent nowadays. And so with that, let's sing Hashkivenu together. We'll sing Hashkivenu, we will read part of it in English, and then we will conclude the prayer on page 45. And I'm going to reintroduce the melody that we did during Shabbat Shira a couple of weeks ago, written by Israeli modern-day composer Oran Eldor, who has written for Hollywood, who has written for Broadway. This is his melody of Hashkivenu. Please sing along if you can. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. V'hamidenu malkeinu lechaim lechaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace, now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem. Uferos aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We will now turn to page 46 for Vishamru and Chatzi Kaddish. Please rise. Vishamru Bnei Israel et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה בעלמא יברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Amen. We will continue now with the private silent Amidah that begins on page 47 and concludes on page 52. If you are still reciting the Amidah, please continue. Earlier this week, the world of Jewish music lost a great composer, cantor composer by the name of Ben Steinberg, who was very well known in both the Reform and Conservative movements. During our Shabbat Shira service a couple of weeks ago, the setting of Shalom Rav that we did here at Bnai was composed by him. And the story that I told about that was the first time I sang it publicly was at a holiday fundraiser dinner for the university I went to, which it was the only Jewish song we sang. Everything else was Christmas music. And so Ben Steinberg passed away earlier this week. May, of course, his memory be for a blessing always. And in memory of him, I am going to sing his setting of Shalom Rav once again this evening. If you would like to join in, please do. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol ha-shalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol ha-shalom. V'tov beinecha levarech et amacha Yisrael bechol eit v'chol sha'a bishlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai Hamevarech et amo Yisrael Bashalom. Baruch atah Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. A moment ago, it seemed like we had a minyan, but now I think we are one short. So with that, if you have anybody that you know you can call to help jump on so we can at least say Kaddish at the end of the service, that would be great. We will continue with the Shabbat evening Kiddush on page 55. I invite everyone who has their wine or grape juice handy to please go ahead and get that now, and to please rise. Page 55. Savrim Anonan v'Rabbanan v'Rabotai, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, V'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinechilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, Mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, hinchalotanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat. We are going to now recite Aleinu on page 56, followed by the mourner's Kaddish after that. So once again, if you have someone that you can pull from another room, please go ahead and do that. Page 56, Aleinu. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. על כן נכבד לך אדוני אלוהינו ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. And now it looks like we have a minion again. Haley, thank you so much for including your mom as well. At this point, we will remember those in our community who are no longer with us. This Shabbat, we remember Leonard David Rosenthal, Sam Drolet, Toby Becker, Anna Jenkins, Morris Bergman, Blanche Lewis, Thomas Madak, Max Rosenblum, Max Baskin, Amy Gollins, Philip Levy, Marvin Morans, Franklin Oberstein, Janice Berger, and Ira Gershon. And if there's anybody else you are remembering this evening, please take a moment to remember them fondly in your mind and in your heart. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 58. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divarach Hirutei Ve'amlich Malchutei, V'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Israel, Ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yehe shemei rabba mevarach le'alam olalme almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yithale ve'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe Shalom Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. Our normal announcement giver, our President Harvey, is out of town this weekend. He is in California with his family. They are celebrating his grandson, I think his name is Max, Max's bar mitzvah. So, of course, we wish a hearty mazel tov to Harvey and his family. And giving announcements this evening, I believe, is Misha. So, Misha, you are on.
Thank you very much. So a couple of things. As many of you know, the last day for putting in your order for Mishloach Mano is on February 22nd. The last day for putting in your reservation for the big event is on February 24th. February 26th, which is next, not this Sunday, but the Sunday after, they will be packing up the Mishloach Mano boxes, bags, and they are looking for anybody who would like to help. Please contact Talia Timmons to let her know that you'd like to do it. Also, that afternoon, there are those of us that are driving these wonderful bags around town. And as I said in the PEEP, if you're GPS savvy, we would love to have you there. After that, it's the big event on March 5th, excuse me. Please join us there. In the morning is the community-wide Purim Festival with Congregation Albert. One small thing, well, it's not small, it's just going to be very cool. On March 6th is the evening where we do the Megillah reading, and several of Jonas's friends and acquaintances will be driving through town. Their children will be doing part of the Megillah reading, and it sounds very cool to have these very young people who will be helping us. If I've gotten any part of that incorrect, Cantor, please correct me, but that's what I've got.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Misha. Everything was correct. It sounded correct. The good news about that is that, yes, we are going to have young children reading from the Megillah. They are around 5 or 6 years old, and one of them is going to be reading just 2 verses from one chapter, and the other one's going to be reading an entire chapter, so that's going to be very impressive. Just a word about the Megillah. Megillah Esther doesn't have as stringent of rules when it comes to reading it from a scroll as a Torah scroll does. So that's why it can be read by children. In fact, some communities have a scroll where the vowels and the cantillation markings are written in to the scroll because that is halachically permissible.
Yes.
Yes.
Interesting.
Anyway, so yes, please come for that service on March 6th, Monday evening at 6 o'clock p.m. Costumes are encouraged, if not required. And, please make sure to bring your groggers as well. We are going to do that evening a very fun Mariv service with different tunes and stuff that I'm not going to tell you about right now, and you'll have to guess what everything is afterwards, including our Megillah reading. We're even going to do one chapter of Megillah in English, but with the cantillation and the trope melodies in English. That's how joyous and frivolous Purim is going to be for us. So please come to that.
Will that be on Zoom?
I believe so. It is preferable, though, that if everybody can come in person, we want as many people there in person as possible. In addition to that, one last announcement is that on the same day as the big event, March 5th in the morning, we have the Albuquerque Jewish Community Purim Festival, which is taking place at Congregation Albert from 11 o'clock until 2 o'clock. So if you do plan to attend, that is from 11 to 2 at Congregation Albert as a way to kind of pregame, so to say, before the big event. Are there any other community announcements? Okay, then. In that case, let us conclude with Adon Olam, page 211. Adon Olam asher malach beterem kol yetzir nivra le'et na'asa v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kicholot hakol levado imloch nora vehu haya vehu hove והוא יחיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני. להמשיל לו, להכבירה, בלי ראשית, בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי. וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אבקיר רוחי, בעת אישן ועירה, ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי, ולא ira. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 in the sanctuary, as well as here on Zoom and on Facebook and YouTube. Have a wonderful, joyous, restful Shabbat, and we will see you next time. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos, everybody.